honor to be on last at such an amazing event. I want to talk to you guys a bit about expressing your conviction conscientiously. It's a phrase that I get from Charles Darwin's book on the origin of species. He writes that whoever is led to believe that species are mutable, i.e. that they change, will do good service by conscientiously expressing his conviction. For only thus will the load of prejudice by which this subject is overwhelmed be removed. The subject of evolution is clouded in prejudice. People have the wrong ideas about it, but if you believe it, you express it. And once you understand it, you can understand people better. You understand why they behave the way they do and the connections between us. So I'm going to explore that a little bit today in the way that I know how, which is via rap music. Now, I'm a rap artist from Canada. Charles Darwin's book, The Descent of Man, made a prediction. It predicted that human origins would be found in Africa, that all of us have a common ancestor there. And if there's one thing hip-hop music is pretty good at expressing, it's the concept of Afrocentricity. So this is a rap group that's one of my favorites. They're called Dead Prez, and they did one of the classic Afrocentric rap songs. The song is called I'm a African. Now, of course, when Dead Prez wrote the song I'm a African, they weren't actually writing about evolution. They were writing about revolution. These are hardcore black nationalists, like the hip-hop reincarnation of the Black Panther Party, right? So they make this argument in the lyrics. It's a simple argument. It says, black people around the world have a common heritage in Africa, and that gives them a common identity, and that's more important than wherever they live today. But I figure we can expand the circle on their concept. Because when Dead Prez perform at live concerts, they do this call and response with the crowd. They're on stage and they go, I'm an African. And then the crowd goes back, I'm an African. And if you look really close, there tend to be white kids in the crowd. And Asians and Hispanics and Jewish people, Arabs. It's multiracial. They all get down with this. What is that? Is that kind of like everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day, so everyone's African at a hip-hop show? Well, ironically, yes. Everyone is literally African everywhere because our species evolved there first. And it was only about 60,000 years ago that the first modern humans left Africa and spread to different parts of the world. That's how recent ethnic diversity is less than 60,000 years ago. And since some went east and some went west, that means Africa's the only place we all have a common ancestor. So ironically, Dead Prez were attempting to write a politically and racially exclusive rap song, but thanks to the perspective of evolution, we know they unintentionally wrote the most inclusive song ever written in history. So I want to treat it like a folk song from the homelands for all of us African expats in the house, and we can all sing it together today. Now, some of you look a little tense. Don't worry, I'll start things out. So I'm going to say, I'm an African. And when I say it, part of your brain will probably go, oh my God, look at him, he's clearly white. That's wrong. Que rubio. But another part of your brain will go, damn it, he does have a point. And the second part's going to overcome, and then you're going to shout, I'm an African, back to me with just as much enthusiasm, because you're going to feel it bubbling in your DNA. Because that's where your DNA comes from, Africa. But of course, this whole concept is based on science. And a third part of your brain will therefore make a mental note to go look it up later after the day is over. But for now, take my word for it. All right? So let's try this out. It's a bit of an experiment. Don't leave me hanging, guys. All right. I'm an African. Damn right. And I know what's happening. Come on, say it loud. I'm an African. Hell yeah. So I know what's happening. Awesome. Totally going to work. But before I actually start the track, note that the title is actually I'm a African. Now I can hear a few of you going, I'm an African, which is excellent grammar. But look, these are grammatically rebellious rappers too, okay? Dead Prez understand phonetics. And phonetically, if you try to pronounce this as an English teacher would have insisted, you end up saying, I'm an African. And we're not Nafricans. We're Africans. You got to create that drum rhythm, that I'm an African. You got to make every syllable pop individually. So no matter how middle class you might feel, I'm asking you to go hip hop with me right now for phonetic's sake. You're going to have to overcome that classical conditioning that makes you pronounce it properly, and you're going to have to read with your eyes instead of your brain, all right? Don't worry, we're going to overcome all these mental blocks together. Let's do this. Of course, the next challenge is going to be for all of us quote-unquote Africans to say the chorus on beat. So feel the beat, nod your head to the beat. Like this. Come on, I'm an African. Damn right, and I know what's happening. I'm an African. The archaeologist taught me what's happening. Are you an African? So say it loud if you know what's happening. I'm an African. That's right, get up on your feet, that's what's happening. I wasn't born in Ghana, but Africa's my mama, cause that's where my mama got her mitochondria. You can try to fight if you want it, but it's not gonna change me, cause it's plain to see, Africans are my people, and if it's not plain to see, then your eyes deceive you. I'm talking primeval. The DNA in my veins tells a story that reasonable people find believable, but it might even blow your transistors. Africa is the home of our most recent common ancestors, which means human beings are all brothers and sisters. So check the massive evidence of Homo erectus and Australopithecus afarensis in the fossil record, and then try to tell me that we're not all connected. The fossil record has gaps but no contradictions, and it complements the evidence in your chromosomes. So I came to let you know about your ancestral home. I'm an African. Damn right, and I know what's happening. I'm an African. The archaeologist taught me what's happening. Are you an African? Then say it loud if you know what's happening. I'm an African. Yeah, geneticists taught me what's happening, and every human on this planet is an African. So everybody needs to know what's happening. Spread the word. Oh, it's not over though, it's not over. So that's the idea that most enrages Darwin's detractors. And when I talk about Darwin's detractors, you should know, I'm specifically talking about his religious detractors, such as creationists, not his scientific detractors. There are none. It's the idea that we came from ape-like ancestors. Now, some people still question this and say, well, if we came from monkeys, then how come there's monkeys still in existence? Well, allow me to illustrate a similar instance. Are we from ape-like ancestors? Perhaps, yeah. A similar instance would be the fact that I'm descended from Dutch Calvinist immigrants who came to Canada in the 1950s. And I still have second cousins who live in the Netherlands, but those are not my ancestors. Those are my relatives, since we have common genetic elements inherited from our great-grandparents. Now, that's just 3 generations back. But here's the relevance. It's only 3,000 generations back that all living humans have a single common ancestor. So really, we are all relatives, which also means all relationships are relatively incestuous. Further back, we also have common ancestors with chimps and gorillas and elephants and plants, and billions of years back, our ancestors were all single cellular. And the fact that every living thing on this planet is a relative, that can change our relationship with the wilderness. Because we come from the wilderness. We are related to the wilderness. It's part of us. So that's where we're going next with this hip hop. You guys ready to get wild? Yeah. We started in the wild as if fed, watered, and sheltered us since Australopithecus times. We've been part of the wilderness. It sculpted us prior to agricultural settlements and relatively other insignificant developments. The skeletons of my kin are dead and buried in the wild, not in cemeteries. We've been sedentary for the blink of an eye. Our lifestyles in the present vary, but never forget that we were quadrupeds and hairy. Every DNA-bearing organism is a distant cousin. Oh yeah, you've got a common ancestor with every single one of them, but what's gonna become of them? We humans are opportunists, and our definition of omnivorous is new and all-inclusive, and solutions are elusive. The damage is irreversible. We're the most versatile species ever that the earth has known. Some of us are into paving paradise with parking lots. Others are more into preserving